we go. Something's happening. YouTube is connecting. And just say a quick yo, 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 yo in the chat. And we are go time. It's happy times. It's smile times here at 7:30 on a Friday night on Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments. I'm your host, Aid Thompson. This is episode 165. And joining me tonight, I have a guest every Friday night to help me make sense of the senseless, to help me navigate my way through, I don't know, gallows humour cul-de-sac or whatever, Doom Lols Boulevard, wherever it is that we're venturing down. And then Wednesday I have a solo show, but tonight my guest that's helping me with news, current affairs, the insane world that we live in, is a returning favourite. I think you've been on as many times as Tan has now.
I think this is 4 or 5. I can't think.
We're in that neck of the woods, aren't we? I suppose Tan came on with Davey a few times as well, so she's probably beaten you very modestly. But we can. She
has beaten me. That is true, and that's what the police are investigating.
Yeah, I guess a quick intro for anyone that's not familiar with your work, John, who may not have seen or heard the previous episodes. You are a podcast host. You host the On Topic podcast.
Yes.
Would you like to give people a little bit of spiel about what
it's a comedy? It's a comedy podcast that is me and my friend Richard. We like to call ourselves failed stand-ups because we've both done it, and we talk about one topic for an hour-ish. Well, under an hour, between 45 minutes and 55 minutes. It's the On Topic podcast. It's available absolutely fucking everywhere.
It's pretty good. Like, I tell you what I like about your pod is so they're sort of general topics, the sort of topics that everyone can relate to. So you'll do like a wedding one, or you'll do employment or interviews, or something that's that literally like most people in Western society can.
It sounds like it's going to be McIntyre. We know that, and then we try to divert that idea that it's not, because like we both bollock each other for. We do call that like going. You write a piece and you go, it's too McIntyre. You can't do that.
Or
because we write scripts, both of us. I do say that we use. I don't know if you do. I know how you write, so I don't think you do write like that. But we use jump offs. So all mine are. So I write a list of like things that I know from the words that I know where that's going to go. And Richard writes his, and we both don't see each other's.
And so then you sort of bounce off each other a little bit.
Because we've been working together for like 7 years or something sad. So it's fine.
But it's good. Like, you've clearly got a very good rapport with each other. Bounce off.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of love there.
Yeah. But then the other thing I love about it is that so much of my life is consumed with politics and ranting about how shit the world is and how doomed we all are. But your show is pretty much apolitical, isn't it? It's not really any.
We try to avoid it because Richard's not politicalist at all. Like, he can't stick it. So that was kind of the basis when we were writing the idea. We jumping around. That was the thing. Richard was like, I don't really want to do politics. Like, if he was going to land one side or the other, he'd definitely land on the left. But he can't be asked. Which is fine. It's like, but then he's absolutely sports crazy. He watches every football match, whereas I don't watch any. I don't know any. He'll say something about sport, and I'm like, woohoo, sport! Like, I don't give shit. I don't care.
It's fun. Like, I'm almost jealous of when people are not really engaged in politics, because it's like a whole layer of stress, chaos, and anxiety that you've just completely removed from your psyche. Like, I bet he's mentally quite healthy, is he?
Yeah, well, no.
No? Oh.
No one is, are they? Not in these. Do you know what? I was at the bus stop the other day, and afterwards I congratulated myself. I heard a 16-year-old boy, which sounds really totally stupid. He said the P word. We all know what I mean.
Right.
In relation to people of an Asian origin.
Mm.
But he wasn't talking to me. It wasn't a conversation with me. It was a conversation with somebody else. And my congratulations to myself was for not taking him out. Afterwards I reasoned. I was like, he wasn't talking to you. Yeah, okay. And he wouldn't have known that you were listening, and you coming in from the side, like, what was that? Like, it sounds really silly, but as an 80s kid, hearing it in 2023, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he said it so casually.
But was he okay? So was he a white guy?
Yeah.
A white kid, even?
Yeah.
I didn't even think, like, I'm so ignorant, and I obviously live in my, comfortable white guy bubble.
Me too.
But I assumed that language.
I thought it was dead. I thought it was a dead word. I'd never heard it. Never. No, none of my friends. Maybe they just would never say it anywhere near me. But nobody would say that word. And I just heard him say, "It's not like the peas. They're all right." And I was like, "What are we doing? Fuck is that?" Like.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I'm still on a crossroads in my head, like saying I should have said something. If it had been directed at me, I would have been in a conversation, because you said it so flippantly. I would have just gone, "Go again." Like, what are we doing?
I wonder if there's a level of comfort to it where he's like, I can be myself. Look, I see this guy over here. He's white. He's not going to say anything.
Everyone at the bus stop was white, obviously.
Yeah.
In a little village in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. It really rankled me. And because it sounds, this is absolutely stupid. Anyone who's never seen me, we were one of those families who was going to like Mallorca or something, and there's a bit of Jamaican in my family, and I go brown like immediately. And that word was said to me all the time, like I'm Gary Lineker. Like, that was one of those things. I don't do what Gary Lineker does, where he goes, "Yeah, I know what racism is." No, you don't. I just knew how empty it was, because I remember it being shouted at me when I was in Bletchley, walking along, and I heard like "P!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Where?" Because I'd never seen one in real life.
Yeah.
And then I realised they were talking to me, and I thought, "Oh."
Yeah. It just feels so sort of. It feels like it's a term that belongs in that time box.
So weird. Like I haven't heard that. I mean, I don't think I heard it. I don't know, probably early 90s. Probably.
Yeah. But I've not heard it anywhere. Like, even in that sort of context where you would imagine that maybe it may surface every now and then, like, if I go into town, or if I'm waiting at the train station to go into London, or but yeah, I thought it was dead and buried. Weird.
Yeah, never thought I'd just hear it. Just slipped into a conversation.
Sort of a testament to how backward those people are, that they're still inhabiting a 1980s kind of vernacular.
Yeah,
but
I was it absolutely blew me away. He'd previously, we had a conversation, because he'd said to me, because the bus didn't turn up, and he said he was going to be late for college, and I jokingly went, "Oh God, yeah, that'd be a pain in the arse." And he went, "Yeah," and I went, "I mean, I'm going to get fired, but yeah."
Yeah.
I remember being like, because I'm a contractor, I don't get paid unless I'm working, so I was like, "Yeah, you might be late for college, you might get a little red dot against your name. I'm fucking losing money, literally talking bullshit to you."
Yeah.
Fucking
every fucking slur that comes out of your mouth weirdly is costing me money.
Yeah, oddly, I paid for that. Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what's in the news. So it's a weird big news day across Western liberal democracy. I can't speak tonight. Because Trump is being indicted. Gigantic news. Finally. Like, there's a lot of us who, like, for a long time have been like, he's dead. Like, they're never going to bring charges, man. People like Trump don't go to prison. I still don't think he actually will go to jail. I think.
I'm not certain. I don't know. I'm in the middle of it. Do you know what I'd really love? I only want one thing. I want him to not, because when you've been the president, you're always President Trump. You keep the title, don't you?
Yeah, that's right.
I want it removed.
You want him demoted back to just Donald Trump?
Donald Trump. That's all I want.
Yeah, I think
because we've got to be serious about what's likely. I'll take that.
Yeah. I was reading some stuff earlier where they said it's more likely he'll get just fined for this.
Right.
That actually feels more realistic to me. I think, like, even though, I mean, like, the whole thing is a fucking can of worms, because they have such a tricky decision to make, or rather the DA, and I guess whoever is politically pressuring the DA, because if they don't jail him, if he's done, I think it's 34 counts of whatever it is that he's accused of.
Yeah.
If they don't jail him for that, they look like there's one rule for the rich and another rule for everyone else. It looks fundamentally unfair.
It doesn't look like there is. Yeah. There is. It just gives the game away.
But it's so obviously a precedent that people will then cite that the law is then effectively in pieces. Like, they do huge damage, they basically pushed themselves into a corner where when similar cases come up in 6 months or a year's time or whatever, people will go, well, you didn't fucking jail Trump, did you? So therefore I get to walk too. So
Yeah.
there's that. And then conversely, if they do jail him, even though I think he should probably do prison time, if they do, on the geopolitical landscape, they open the floodgates of places like, I don't know, fucking Libya, Iran, like you pick whatever sort of crumbling ghost of a democracy country you like, China even, Russia, like all of them will, like, the idea that you can then say America is not some basket case democracy that jails its political leaders is sort of out the window. At that point, people like Putin or Kim Jong, whoever, like all of them are going to go, look at fucking, are you kidding? Like,
fuck off.
Trump is literally in prison at the moment. So you then create a different precedent. So I don't envy anyone here.
It's a really, I think that this conversation is happening in some very high places right now because the decision has been made, hasn't it? Well, let's be serious. The decision's already been made, right? He is guilty. It's apparent. So they've got the evidence. He's definitely going to be convicted. What's going to happen? Well, I think the decision's been made, and I don't. It's like, what's going to cost more lives, really, isn't it? That's the balance. Is what do you do? But then there's no reason in America. Fucking kids got shot with an AR-15 this week, and nothing will change. Nothing. There's all this shit going on right now, which is brilliant. I'm not being a dick. All these brilliant people making fantastic protests and brilliant social media posts, like, can we stop shooting kids? But we really know what will happen, which is fuck all. Humans have got a 6-week memory. That's it. That's all we can work with. People gave a fuck about electricity prices in the UK when it was about to happen. Now it's actually happening. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Mortgages were going up. We knew about it last year. There was a big palaver. Now it's actually fucking happening. It's past the 6 weeks. We're just paying it and not doing anything about it at all.
I was thinking about that earlier. So, like, beginning of this week, the Bank of England, I think it was beginning of this week, maybe tail end of last week, they were announcing that because of the food inflation had pushed us back up to like 10%, totally unexpectedly, that they were going to have to raise interest rates again. And I was thinking, how fucking depressing is it that, we're about to get clobbered with like our new mortgage payments are going to, if we survive the remortgage, like the affordability checks or whatever, we're going to have absolutely no disposable income. It's going to fucking clean us out. And
we're not quite in that because of the world is bollocks. We're not in as, I think ours is ending up going to cost like about £200 a month more, which very through nothing but fortuitousness. I've recently got a new job, so that changes the game slightly, but it's still a massive burden.
Yeah,
obviously. And I don't want to go. I don't know. If we go with mortgages, we're fucked because we're just going to do mortgages for an hour while we're both going. What do? Yeah, I literally did it the other day with the cab driver. Literally, the two of us just going, like, how much is going to cost you? Like, it's suddenly become an interesting conversation again. We're like, what did you get? Fixed rate. Like, people who got a fixed rate last summer for 5 years, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Imagine if you did, like, last year.
I do know somebody who did it.
Really?
2%.
Yeah. Insane.
Fuck
like, you must just be the smuggest motherfucker in the pub when the news is on and there's like a couple of old boys, complaining about their mortgages or their kids' mortgages. And
imagine you're a bellend on a variable interest only rate. Like, when you're during COVID, you're like, how much is your mortgage? It's shot up. It's 87p now. And now it's like, sounds like 1,700 quid because their interest rate was never, because the tracker is not the base rate. So they're paying like 9%.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a weird sort of purgatorial state to be in at the moment where we don't know what's going to happen yet, like how we're going to handle this, how far into the red.
We've all got to bet, like, because I was looking at fixed rates the other day and talking. Sorry, this is so fucking boring. I even know it's boring as well. People are saying you have to bet. It's like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. You're like, no, I'm only going to go. I'm betting low. I'm going to go 2 years. Hopefully they'll get their shit together. Like fucking fuck.
Yeah, you're right. It's weird though, isn't it? Because it's like, at what point did it become this sort of financialized product suite of yeah, essentially gambling? Like, you would have thought, like, here's how I think this product should go to the market, right? You build a house, you build 100 houses or 1,000 houses, you put them on sale, and then somebody says, yeah, I'll pay 100 grand for that, or I'll pay 70 grand for this one. This one's got 2 more bedrooms and blah, blah, blah. And then the banks say, well, look, obviously you don't have 300 grand in the bank, but we will lend it to you and you pay us back a figure like every month, which is the interest on the loan. That's fine. That makes sense to me. But why you have to be locked into like a 2-year, like, you're gonna fucking own the house for 10 or 20
It's
or 30
gambling, is it? But that's because it's always gambling. I tell insurance is you betting, like if it's life insurance, you bet a company that you're gonna fucking die, and they bet you won't.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll fucking teach you. You don't know shit. I'm a fucking nightmare. What's this bollocks?
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. We do it with our houses. Your mortgage is you betting against the bank. You bet that you're not going to pay it, and the bank bet you will, and that's it. And the interest rate is basically the odds. They just go, well, maybe.
I was reading some terrifying shit earlier this week about how in the 70s and 80s the subject of peak oil was first raised. Like, what's going to happen when the oil runs out? When the oil reserves start depleting, what happens then? And it used to be dismissed as this sort of, far-flung conspiracy theory, like, nah, don't worry about it. There's loads of fucking oil. If oil dries up in Texas, we'll just go and drill over here. There's plenty more oil. Don't worry about it. And now, well, firstly, in like 2008, 2009, I was watching a documentary about it, and they were saying at that point, places like Saudi Arabia had begun drilling like offshore and financing drilling projects in more and more dangerous places, because it's a bit like a heroin junkie going to more and more extreme lengths to like burgle and rob to pay for the heroin to get the fix. Like, it's the earth is addicted to oil. And now that there's conversations in the last couple of weeks where they're like, well, should we drill in the Arctic? I mean, what's the problem really? And this guy wrote this piece earlier in the week where he was like, it's now anticipated we will hit peak oil in the next 2 years.
No, I will say that isn't. I don't think so.
Do you think it's further away?
It is way further away. But the problem is there's now more added gambles for more gambly fun. So that kind of doesn't matter. I'll add 2 more problems to the equation. There are 2 hopes. It's a bit of a shame there's not more people in chat saying some terrible stuff. There are 2 other things that would make oil worthless, which is very problematic, which you wouldn't think so. One of them is the storage of hydrogen. If you can work out, hydrogen's a bastard because the molecules are so small, they're an absolute dick to store, and that causes a massive issue. So let's say next week somebody works out how to store hydrogen, but not only that, they also, because we're not that far off. My friend who works in battery technology says we're not a million miles away from a quantum battery. Let's give us the both. Let's have both. We've got a quantum battery and hydrogen. The problem with that is oil, the barrel price will fall immediately. The double issue of that is, and you don't have a choice with this, the West have to bomb Saudi Arabia flat. There isn't an option. They're not stupid. They have one card, oil. If they're out, they're not going to fuck about.
Right.
So your option, as soon as you get the phone call, we've nailed it.
Yeah.
You can store hydrogen in a Tesco carry bag. The first thing you do is bomb Saudi Arabia flat because that's your only choice.
Well, yes. Okay. So I agree that they have a huge amount of geopolitical power and influence based pretty much solely
literally
on
on
their
that.
oil.
Like, there's nothing. You don't have to do anything they say anymore, and they've got some disgusting. We put up with some unbelievable shit. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Things that people go, they talk about North Korea, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe they do that."
Yeah.
Fuck off!
Yeah.
Look at this.
I mean, yeah, not to get too dark about it, but so I was doing a solo episode on Wednesday where I was sort of marveling at this, where I'm like, they slaughtered a Western journalist in an embassy, and within a matter of months, Liz Truss, as Foreign Secretary, had signed off on 3 deals to sell Saudi Arabia.
And didn't he go and visit the Queen at one point as well?
Did he? I know.
Yeah, I think he met up with some. I mean, it's fucking disgusting. The whole thing.
Like the alignment of the UK with Saudi, based solely on petrochemical, is
absolutely. I mean, fuck off.
What I was going to say was, if America or the UK or the EU developed hydrogen technology to the extent that we could actually begin a phased withdrawal from the oil world, you would start to it would be phased out very slowly, rather than this complete like unplugging of like there would still be other countries in the world that would want to buy that oil, right?
Sort of.
You'd hope.
Well, but yeah, it just changes the two things I mentioned change everything.
Yeah.
Electric vehicles as they stand, the pushback against them. The trouble is always, when someone argues with you and says lithium is actually a massive pain in the arse and you've got, it fucks up the world as much as petrol. I don't have an argument against. They are right. We can fuck about, but it actually, the payback takes like 50 years. You're never going to get back the car, but you're absolutely fucked. But if we had a car running on hydrogen that was powering like a quantum battery, etc., the weight in the car is gone. You can use ceramic engine parts that never wear out, etc., etc. There's loads of shit. And then suddenly, you only need the notion of that to make the barrel price fall. Say the barrel price is $100, it'd be $2 in a day. That's how the stock market works. It is based on not on what is happening, but is what is going to happen, and that is our certainty.
Well, it's even worse than that, isn't it? It's like it's not based on what's happening. It's not even based on what is going to happen. It's based on what a collection of people believe could happen.
Yeah,
and
same
so
with everything.
I'll hedge my bet that's like, I don't want to lose my 100 million, so I'm going to pull that out, and then suddenly the share price starts.
I mean, that's fucking terrifying. And as I say, that's why the sky is dark with bombers the day that happens, because you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
it's not an act of war. It's an act of, well, we better fucking do it. They'll kill us because they're not stupid.
Yeah.
Fun. We went from
Happy
Trump
times.
to oil.
Yeah.
I like it how people kind of go, those two things, those two technologies are world savior type things. Yeah. And you think you'd be like, woo! And I'm like, yeah, you need to kill some fucking people.
Yeah.
That is the way that works. There's no fucking way.
I wonder if that will become a sort of genesis of a new world order. Like, not to get too tinfoil hat, but if you had a new world order where it was like the United States of fucking everything, right?
I've always felt that the calculation is wrong. When we try and work out how long have we got left being dickheads before the world is fucked beyond parallel. And I don't actually think that's the calculation you need to do. You need to work out how much fossil fuels there is left. And if we burnt it all tomorrow, would the Earth explode? And that's really the only calculation you need. Because if it isn't, the world won't explode, then sort of you're never going to convince anybody any other way. They're going to go full gung until we've done it. Like giving a fat kid a chocolate cake. Okay, do you want to save some? No. I'm going to fucking eat it and throw up and then eat that. That's going to happen.
Here's a weird question for you. I can't remember if I've asked you this before, if it was a different guest or if maybe I've never said it on the podcast before. I don't know. But here we go. Like, how weirdly convenient is it? Like, I don't want to get too spiritual, but it's a little bit convenient that right at the same time as we're about to run out of fossil fuels is the same time that the effect of them is so bad on climate change that it's irreversible. Like those two things happening at exactly the same time. It's like, let's say peak oil is in the next year or 2 years, and we do start to really run out. The world has to drastically move from oil to hydrogen or nuclear or some sort of mix of everything in between. Then the world begins to heal, hopefully, and climate change is mitigated. Like it's so weirdly convenient, isn't it?
Not really,
No?
because no, because it's easy, because humans do this ridiculous thing where you make things fatalistic. As somebody who's sort of neurospicy, I do that all the time. But
Excellent phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, that isn't actually true. All you've done is you've seen a pattern where there isn't one. Like, it makes absolute fucking sense, like from an evolutionary point of view, that the planet itself, self-preservation is that it has nearly enough of something to fuck it up, but not quite enough. That makes absolute sense.
That's a very logical, interesting way of looking at it. I was sort of looking at it like, is there some subtext here? Like I am going to get a bit tinfoil hat here, where like if I did want, I don't believe that climate change is fake. I think it's real.
No, it definitely.
But if I did want to believe that it was fake, then that would bolster that feeling. Is like,
absolutely.
Actually, what this is all about is scarcity of fossil fuel. But they can't say that because that is terrifying. So what they'll say instead is climate change. If you keep burning oil like this, it's going to affect this and water supply and food, and that is a more palatable story to tell people.
But even the media takes advantage of the sort of human brain of looking for patterns. We look for patterns in everything that aren't there. They're bollocks. So we say, so if I said to you, the Boxing Day tsunami, you know what I'm talking about. You don't need to. I don't need to go any further than that. Okay, the Boxing Day tsunami, and you'll go. You'll remember. You'll go, yeah. And I'll say to you, climate change caused that. Climate change caused the Boxing Day tsunami. What it did, it caused an earthquake in the middle of the sea, huge wave, and obviously, killed people in Thailand. Just trying to think of any other countries, Sri Lanka, etc. And you go, yeah. And I go, and I can even bolster it. I can say to you, "Have you ever heard of one before?" You'll go, "No." That's because no one gave a shit about brown people before. That's all it really is. Fuck, I didn't give a shit. You could have wheeled and passed in a wheelbarrow. No one would have given a fuck.
Well, also, it's
nonsense.
It was the advent. It was like just on the cusp of
just
like that 9/11 24-hour news. Like
literally the internet, 24-hour news. Literally like this whole worldwide thing. This is fucking bollocks. It's if you ask people who live there, had it happened before? It has. By the way, you don't need to check. There has been tsunamis in exactly those places. Previous times, it's exactly what's happened. I'm not saying
on
that
Boxing
Day. Every Boxing Day. Yeah. It's that thing of that is within living memory. It had happened before, and I'm not saying that wasn't caused by climate change, but I am saying that our perception is incorrect because we didn't give a fuck. Every single year, hundreds of thousands of people are killed by floods in parts of the world, and it's almost whether it's a fashionable place, whether people actually give two shits.
Yeah, that was for Tan, if you're listening.
Yeah, she is listening. It's that really. It is quite weird. When you get those, the conspiracy theory. I think I have my own theory, which is that an IQ of 90. Is the dangerous. That's a dangerous problem. 90, right. Which is quite. And it's way more prolific than you think. It's something really, really specific. I think it's something like 4 in 5 people. That is fucking mad. Have an IQ of about 90, and they're really problematic because they're thick, but then they're just thick enough to not know how thick they are.
The Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, and it's perfect. Because I did check statistically what the likelihood of a 90 IQ is, and it is prolific. You're not dumb enough to not be able to read, and nobody would notice too much, but you are fucking stupid.
Have you ever seen, who the fuck was it? Actually, maybe this was by So the guy that produced a documentary about peak oil that effectively radicalized me when I was like 27, I'm sure it was him, or maybe it was one of these sort of alt-right psychologists that you have now. But I can't remember who the fuck it was. Some academic.
Any scientist with a political sway, either way, is a fucking dickhead. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, so this guy was saying that there is, yeah, like similar to you, that every fifth person has an IQ under X, and he was like,
it's wait, that's really high. Like the 90 is way higher than that. It's way more prolific.
Yeah. Well, this guy was saying, he was like, and the American military won't let you in unless you pass an IQ test that pitches you above this. And he's like, so if you wholesale that out across all of it, I think he was talking about the US. He was like roughly 30 million Americans lack the intelligence that the American military would.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
but it must be. It's not 100. I swear to Christ, it will be about 90.
Yeah.
90 is about perfect for military. I'm not talking about officers because they're not stupid enough to be shot at.
No.
Like somebody you think of as quite quick in their mind is about 130. My dad, I only know this because he actually got IQ tested at work. My dad's IQ is 165.
Fucking hell. That feels good? That feels high?
Yeah, I know. I think it's one. I can't remember what Mensa is, but he would have been Mensa at the time, but he never joined because he said they were a stack of bellend. But it's not like 130 is not super bright. That's not really clever. And 90 is not really thick. It's problematic.
Right.
And 90 is clever enough to strip a rifle and put it back together and be shot at. But not clever enough to realise you shouldn't be there to begin with.
Which is clever enough to regret.
That's exactly that's why it's an issue. It's like the people who think that COVID's a conspiracy. They're 90s.
Yeah.
Because they're clever enough to go and Google all this stuff that's absolute shit, but not clever enough to realise it cannot possibly be a lie because it's too big.
Yeah. There's a great quote by. Do you ever read Hugo Rifkin's stuff in? I think it's the Times he writes for. He does like a politics sketch,
Right.
And I think he's Malcolm Rifkin's his kid.
Yeah. It rings about
And he was mocking Andrew Bridgen. But the way he worded it was just fucking perfect. He was like, does it never occur to Andrew Bridgen that like when he thinks he's figured it out, like something to do with the pandemic or masks or lockdowns, does he never stand there and sort of question and go like, what are the chances that I, Andrew Bridgen, an idiot, a provable idiot, would have figured this out? Like, should I not pause for thought here? And that's the sort of thing that you're getting to. It's like that moment of reflection and self-awareness where people should go, hang on, I'm not the sharpest tool in the toolbox.
That's literally it.
Yeah.
It's the self-awareness. We've talked about this as people who let's not in a dickish way. Like as people who
you can be dickish. Come on,
let
it all out.
As people who write comedy, my first reaction when somebody else is funny who I don't know is you cock. Like instantly, my brain is fuck you, right? Straight away. And I've taught myself that fuck you, what I should actually change that into after when they've finished whatever they're doing is actually go, that was fucking amazing. I've taught myself over the years to go, I think there's a few things in life that you need to teach yourself. If you want to consider yourself a fairly decent human, you're going to die someday. That's very important. You need to get used to that. You need to have questioned your sexuality and be fine with it. They're quite good. And you need to understand that other people are better at shit than you are, not because you haven't tried, right? Because that is poison. As soon as you think I could do that, but I haven't given it a go. When somebody sees something like a piece of art by Damien Hirst, put a shark in formaldehyde, or something by Tracy Emin where she's put all the people she slept with on a tent and they go, oh, I could have done that. You fucking didn't. Yeah. The end. Shut the fuck up. I am not. I will never win the X Factor. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that because other people are better at singing than me. That's absolutely fine. And it's not that I didn't try, it's that they're better than I am. And that goes, well, as fundamental as people will be better at painting their lounge than I am. Mine will be shit. I'll touch the fucking bit of wood around the door because I'm a knob, right? But I'm okay with that.
But it
Some
kind of
people are better
goes,
at stuff.
it goes like a place, like actually quite a positive place to be.
I think they're all positive places.
Where it's like, it's not a reflection that you couldn't have done it or that this person is better than you. It's that you have a selection of things in your brain that turn you on, that stimulate you.
No. I don't mean that. I don't have, like, I know I'm not colorblind, right? This is a weird one. I'm not colorblind. But the difference that some people see, a lot of people, including my wife, see between blue and green, I don't see. So I cannot see them. So I don't get them confused. I know what blue is. I know what green is. But if you were going to, if something going to be like aqua sort of thing,
yeah,
and one person might, I won't see the difference, right? Because I don't have that. That's not something I can do. And it isn't because I didn't try, and it's not because I'm not interested. It's that fundamentally it's impossible. And I think it is a way greater skill in life to understand, to be vocal about what you're shit at rather than what you're good at. What you're good at is apparent. It is obvious. What you're shit at, tell people. Right? Honestly, it's that's a really important thing. Hopefully people think, oh, John speaks quite well, because I fucking do it all the pissing time. So hopefully they go, oh, he's quite good at that. But if somebody says to me, like, could you do that? I don't ever now, because I've taught myself, like I did this when I was about 20, because I'm a twat. But if somebody says to me, like, if you said to me, like, you'd made a table, I'd fuck that up. Like instantly, I'd go, "Oh, show me," and I really care as well. I really do want to see. Like, you can play the guitar, can't you?
yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm always really, really chuffed when somebody do something I can't. I couldn't do that. I'm rubbish at that. I want to see you do it, and I honestly do. But it takes a fundamental change in yourself to accept you can't, and to appreciate other people's skills. I really think they're really important.
It's I mean, it's obviously like you speak very passionately about it. I feel like it's
it's because it's fucking true.
But it, like, to me, it's sort of okay. On a foundational level, I agree. It's great to acknowledge the things that you're not good at, things that you have not pursued.
No, yeah, gone.
But I think you run the risk, or rather, there is a danger there that if you say I couldn't do that, like that is an unhealthy. But like when people, when I used to do a lot of stand up, as indeed you did.
Do you think other people can do it?
People have said to me like, "Oh man, I wish I could do that," and I'm like, "You fucking could, man! Like,
No,
you really could."
That's not.
I know people who are funnier than me conversationally who could do it if they applied themselves.
My wife's funnier than me 1 in 1,000 times.
Right.
Right. And like unbelievable. Like I will lose my soul. It's the funniest fucking shit in the world, but she can't do it on purpose. I recently had an argument. I'll be honest. I recently had this argument with a therapist. We were talking, and I kind of got quite animated, as I always do. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this, and you don't have to. This isn't. I'm not putting this out as a fundamental fact. I have ADHD, so it's not the same thing, and we do a different sort of comedy. So because I do crowd stuff, so it's compare. So I said she felt that I got self-worth from that, and I said I don't, because it doesn't matter to me at all. I don't care. Like I really appreciate the fact that people laugh, and I understand that takes an innate something to do that. But for me, I don't think about anything. I just take the handbrake off. Like in my ADHD brain, I just cut the edit. I don't do where I would normally pick up. I'd kind of go like whatever. I know my rules in my head, like don't take the piss out of anything that you can't change in less than 10 seconds. So there's no kind, I'm not going to do a weight joke, not going to do a race joke, not going to do whatever. That's just boring shit. Not going to do that. But I'm going to go for t-shirts, hair, what you said, and I can flick it, and I can do it with about 1,000 people. but I don't get a self-worth from it. And that was the argument I had with the therapist.
That's really interesting because I unashamedly do. Like,
that's fine. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was, and that was what I said. But your difference is you write, and I'm not writing.
But
because
even
I've written and I do write. But when
Yeah.
I'm doing a compare type gig, I'm not writing. So
but don't you feel like let's imagine this, right? So there's a guy in the audience, front row, with a heavy metal t-shirt on, long hair, but he's a little bit too old to be in like a rock band. So he's obviously like a roadie or like an aging metal guy, right? So then you ask him a question, what's your name, where you're from, all of that stuff. Then you crack a joke, lightly at his expense. You're teasing him a little bit. His wife laughs, he laughs. The room comes to life. Everyone laughs. You've created joy. Not to sound too twatty about it, but you've sparked some electricity in the room and everyone feels happier as a result of what you've done. And you did that from nothing.
Yeah, like, no, don't get anything.
Isn't there a feeling of like, it doesn't have to be ego or like everyone look at me, but like, don't you feel like I'm fucking glad I did that?
It ended up with the fundamental question of why do you do it?
Yeah.
Right. And I think we're both going to come to the same, because though we're going to come from it from different angles. I said because I can.
For the pussy. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. This is embarrassing.
Because I can. Because if I'm looking at, I'm not going to say I could if it was 10,000 people, but if I'm looking at a big gig, it'd be like 2,000. If there's 2,000 people in front of me, as far as I'm aware, because nobody's proven me otherwise, I'm the only one who can do this. And the other thing is, when I put the mic back in the stand and jump off the stage, because a lot of the time, if I've gone at like 70 people, a few of them want to kick my head in. And so one of the best things to do is to make the end a surprise. And I've walked off the front of the stage before, just put the mic in the stand and jumped, because it's a safer way to do it. Because if you've got 70 people who want to, say you pissed off everyone you talk to, 70 people want to kick you in the face, but 930 don't. The 930 will protect you from the 70 you do. So I'm going in the crowd.
Yeah.
But after the gig, I don't remember when somebody says to me, "Oh, do you remember that?" No, I don't remember any of it.
You're like that scene in Old School. Have you seen that movie?
I've seen Old School. Yeah, Will Ferrell. Yeah.
And there's like the debate, and then he just sort of like just blacks out. Like he's debating, like he's speaking, but his brain's got like white out.
I honestly don't remember anything I said. Like generally, when I get off the stage,
you're a conduit for God's sense of humor.
Well, I think it's a conduit for ADHD. My therapist also asked me what I think of before an impulse, and I said that's ridiculous. Nothing. I wanted to do a TikTok video of this the other day. I was going to do when I remember giving a driver the finger and calling him a cunt. And I wanted to do the thought process of it, of when I thought about it. And it was putting my finger in my pocket. Like I didn't think of anything. I just went cunt. And then I put my finger in my pocket.
Sorry, I almost blocked you out of the camera there.
Yeah, the idea of an impulse and explaining it is ridiculous.
Yeah, that seems sort of paradoxical to me.
Yeah, we need to. What else have you got? What else are we talking about?
So I was going to talk about a little bit about gun control, because obviously that was a big story in the first half of the week.
Let's hit it.
Yeah, I'm hitting all of the high, cheer people up. I mean, this is called Thompsin Other Disappointments.
Yeah, definitely. It's what's in the news.
But yeah, so there was another school shooting at the beginning of the week. We sort of touched on this a little bit earlier in the show. There is always this feeling that this time will be the catalyst. This time will be the straw that broke the camel's back. Finally, they'll talk about gun control. I always used to think, like, well, they're not going to do it while Trump's in the White House. Things will get really, really bad. And then once there's a Democrat back in the White House, maybe then you'll actually see it. But Obama couldn't do anything. Biden's not doing anything. It's sort of, it speaks to the quite disgusting fabric of American democracy that one institution has got that sort of a stranglehold on legislation. And
it's one of my more favorite things to talk about, actually, because I don't think I've ever spoken about it with you, but my dad was a member of a handgun club, so I fired handguns, and I fired assault rifles in competition for like 5 years. It's one of my favorite things to talk to Americans about, because they always go, "That's the problem with you guys. You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, no, I do actually.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm talking about because I've shot on 500-meter ranges. But the thing that the Americans will never get a grasp on is there is no such thing as safe gun. It's impossible. You just can't do it.
Well, I also think there's an arrogance to gun ownership in the US, and I'm sure I'll get fucking American commenters marching into the comment section telling me I'm a fucking clueless limey and all the rest of it. But the fact is, I don't see how you can argue yourself out of this one, right? If I was doing this show from fucking Iowa or wherever, I would like to think a reasonably intelligent guy. I'm emotionally healthy most of the time. I'm sure my girlfriend would disagree with that to some extent on some occasions. However, for the most part, I don't raise my voice. I don't get violent. I'm not some fucking, erratic, chaotic drunk. So by all reason, in America, it's just me as like I'm the target market for somebody who should own a gun. I've got kids, my girlfriend. I want to protect
Perfect.
them.
It would scare the shit out of you. You need a gun.
Yeah. I'm not I'm not like, muscly. I'm not going to fight off intruders. I need a gun to protect the family. So if I buy that gun and then it sits like in above the bathroom cabinet, it's safe. It's out of reach. The kids can't get it, right? That's, to all intents and purposes, that is safe gun ownership, and I'm a responsible gun owner. The problem is, what happens when I come home from work a little bit earlier than I had said I was going to, and then I walk in and my girlfriend is banging the pool boy or fucking my best friend or what, like, and I feel hurt and aggrieved and betrayed and like I need to settle that score, and I'm like, how the fuck? I got that gun. I'll go and get it. And even if I just think I'm going to scare someone with it.
Honestly, how many times I would shoot people a day? That's the reason I don't need a gun. I've got ADHD. I'm a fucking nightmare.
You do it just because you get bored.
People.
Yeah. No, I was
concealed carry. Fuck me. I'd be in prison. I would have shot somebody immediately.
I love how like my situation, my example is like an extreme one where like 1 in 10,000 relationships might end up in that. Yours is just like, I would just take it with me to the shops because I know that some motherfucker's going to upset me.
I'm trained in all sorts of firearms, and I would still fucking shoot somebody if I had a concealed carry. I'd be like, "Fuck off!" and I'd shoot.
Yeah.
Just not death. Just probably like one in the foot. Just a lesson for not understanding that they're leaning on the self-service thing at Tesco when it goes. There's an unexpected item, but it's you, and then shoot them in the foot.
Yeah.
Just teach them. Fuck off.
Yeah. Or even just like not having a sufficient number of plastic bags out. That's a new thing now. I'm like,
oh no, fuckers who don't get it. People who are surprised by the fact they have to pay. They do my head in.
Yeah.
They get all the way through the queue, which is like 20 people. They get to the end, and then it's like it's an epiphany that they go, oh, that's £15.50, and they go in their bag, and they're like, oh, where's my purse? What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
For 20 minutes.
Or at that point they go, I'll just get my checkbook. Like, bitch, nobody takes fucking checks anymore. What the fuck are you doing?
I got a coupon. I got a coupon for that, I think.
Yeah.
Fuck! I actually paid for someone shopping once. Honestly, I did that. There was a lady in front of me.
Yeah.
She took so long to get her stuff that I took the please wait thing off. And I took it off. And I went, I'll just put mine through as well. And the checkout lady was like, really? And I kind of calculated, it's like a £5. And I went, yeah, no, it's fine. And she just put it through, like, ever. And she was like, oh, you're so sweet. And this is so fucking sociopathic. She went, oh, that's so sweet. She pushed it all through. And at the end, I paid it. And I honestly looked at this lady in the face and I went, I only did that because you're a pain in the ass. And then I walked off.
Wow.
Literally saved it up.
And this is only like 12 minutes after you're like, if you want to be a good human, Aid.
Oh fuck! No, exactly. But no. But no. My friend's a psychologist, and he diagnosed me years ago with ADHD with sociopathic impulses, and I think I was like,
I bet even doing that in response to him is like,
you fucking nutter.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been assessed for any sort of mental health. Like I went to.
That wasn't an assessment. It was my friend was doing a dissertation. Oh. And the stupid thing was, this was 2016. And the dumb thing was, this is the arrogance of me. he said to me, "I really want to talk to you for my dissertation for my PhD." And I said, "Oh, fine." He said, "Can I interview you for like 2 hours?" I went, "Yeah, it's fine, no worries." So we set up the interview, and I'm on his. It's a published paper, and he did it. And at the end, and I think this is the sort of stupidity of my brain, he did it, and he said, "You know, you've got ADHD, and you've got this sociopathic impulses. You're not a sociopath, but you've got sociopathic impulses." And the weird thing was, instead of going, "Oh, I should probably go and get that checked out," I just was like, stab, fucking mental, like it's just insane. And now
that means, though,
those are the things that really get to me. It's just the ridiculousness of thinking that's great. You're a dick.
But what does that mean, like, in the real world? Does that mean if you were pushed into a certain situation, you might behave more sociopathically? Or
yeah, I'm trying to think of something. Right, so I could do, if we were doing explosive stuff, I can do millions. I've done terrible things because I don't regret any of them either, because I actually think they're fine. They're not. So once I ordered some chicken in KFC. This is one I used earlier, and they got the meal ready. It was like a whatever the fuck it was, like a 3 weeks and a chips thing and a drink.
Love this story, yeah.
And I said, "Can I have some ketchup?" And they said, "We're out of ketchup." And I overhead lobbed it at the window because I couldn't believe it hadn't come up before then. Like, why the fuck would I want the chicken then? Yeah. So, and then I apologized immediately for doing it.
I don't even know why that tickles me. Even the apology afterwards is just like the icing on the cake.
That's the issue, is that you
sorry about that.
Is it impulse, and then you're gonna go, "Sorry about that." Yeah, I just threw it at the window. Yeah, and I've got. I mean, I reckon I've probably got about 300 of those. I've done. I remember I've been at McDonald's once, and the guy dropped. So I ordered a McMuffin for my wife and I, and he dropped the first one, which he didn't pick it. Like, I could see, because in McDonald's you can see through the oven, etc. He dropped it. He didn't pick it up and serve it or anything, but he picked up the dishcloth off the side.
Yeah.
He picked up the McMuffin off the floor, said he was going to make another one, wiped the floor with the dishcloth, and then with the dishclothy hand, he wrapped up the other McMuffin, and then when he came over, he went, "So I don't know if you noticed, I just dropped the McMuffin." I went, "Not the biggest problem. Biggest problem is you're a dickhead." And then explained in graphic detail why he was a dickhead. Like, why would you touch the cloth and then do that?
And then what did he say?
Not a lot. I told her, we'd already gone. I wasn't going to pay for that. Yeah, because clearly a dickhead. But yeah, I've done. I honestly, I could do 5,000 of those. There are reasons I don't do it. I never ever do it in a situation like on an airplane. I'm never like that, because I hate it, and I want everybody to love me and keep me safe.
I don't think really I could ever be that confrontational with people. Like, I'm angry sometimes at shit customer service, but then I do that very British thing where I just, internalize it. And even when I've got a shit haircut, like, if they cut my hair badly and I know I'm doomed to look like a fucking bell end for like 6 weeks, they show me the back of my head with the mirror and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I definitely do that. There's nothing you do about it. That's the never. But I can't even, when somebody says to me, somebody says, "What are examples of the sociopathic impulses?" I remember my wife was really pissed at me for this. We've got one of those mops that you pour liquid in it in like a spray bottle.
Yeah.
And you spray in front of the mop. The head was every time you picked it up, it kind of went like no and didn't hit the floor properly.
Yeah.
And so I just like a shit mop, yeah. And so when it didn't quite hit the floor, I turned it and just axed it into the floor and just smashed the end off.
Yeah.
And I think, but the problem is with that sounds like a domestic violence thing. I've never hit any. I've no interest in hurting anybody. I'm not violent. I just don't like shit that doesn't work. and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely ruin people's days by being a sociopathic wanker, and I definitely don't care about the swearing. I called. I remember being in the post office once, and there was an old lady behind me kept tutting because I got loads of post office stuff, like loads of stuff to post because it was my job. And there was a woman behind me going,
yeah.
And I said to her, "Are you okay?" And she went, "Yeah." And then she went, and I said, "You're right. You sound like you got a problem with your breathing or something." And she went, "No, it's fine." And then, and I said, "I'm really starting to worry. Should I hit 909? Have you got asthma?" And she went, "It's not that. You got a lot of posts." And I said, "No shit." And she said, "I've just had an operation." She said, "I've just had my knee replaced." And I said, "Oh, sorry, I don't give a fuck." And she went, "What?" And I said, "I don't give a fuck. Why are you telling me about that?" And she said, "You're being very rude." I said, "You're being an idiot. I don't know why you told me you've had a knee replacement. I don't care." And she looked at her husband and I said, "Don't get him involved. I don't give a fuck what he thinks either." And I said, "Why are you tutting behind me? It's really annoying." And I said, "If you want, you can go in front of me." She said, "You're being ever so..." And I went, "Shh, don't speak. If you want to go in front of me, nod. Don't say another word.
Yeah.
And you can go in front of me. But if you speak, you can't go in front of me. Do you understand?" Nod your head. And she went, and I said, "Go in front of me."
Bark like a dog now. Hop on a
How
leg.
is that? Like, and at the end of it, this is why I don't care about what I've done after I've done it. I don't think
I would be fucking shaking with fear at that point. I'd be like, her husband's gonna beat the shit out. Like, he's 78, but he can have me.
But I wasn't wrong. It's
No.
not nice, but I wasn't wrong. Don't do that. You're a fuckface.
The worst shit I've done that's sort of in that vein was when I used to work at the bowling alley years and years ago. I worked with a guy.
I love that any story that starts with "when I used to work at the bowling alley."
Yeah. It's great fun. But I used to work in the sales office, and there was me and this other guy. And this other guy was just like, I mean, we all hated our jobs. We were all desperate to get out of the sales office at any point that we could. And so he kept sort of volunteering to drive over to the other bowling alley to pick up some stock and like drive it all the way back. And I thought, like, it'd be nice if I got to drive over to this fucking other bowling alley at some point. Like, why has it always got to be him? Like, we're the same rank. We've got the same job. We've both got cars. So next time the sales manager comes in and goes like, got to get somebody to drive over to Reading to pick up some stock. So could somebody do it? And I went, yeah, I'll do it. And this guy just immediately like interrupts and goes like, no, that's cool. I'll do it. And I was like, no, it's fine. Like I'm at this point, I'm being sort of a bit more assertive. I'm like, it's fine. Like I got my keys. I'm ready to go. And he just like dismissed and just crushed my, like, it's such a petty thing. Like, who gets to drive to the other bowling alley or not? But it pissed me off. It was like the sort of the dismissive disrespect of it. It's like, no. I've got it. I said that I will go, so therefore go fuck yourself, Aid. Sit back down, answer the calls. I get to drive over to Reading for like the 5th time. Like, and it's so stupid now looking back on it. But anyway, it pissed me off. And I was like, all right. And I like banked it. And then about a couple of days later, they had this rule at the time where, like, because we worked in the sales office, because we booked people's birthday parties, if you, as the sales office person, double booked a birthday party when there was insufficient staff, the punishment was you fucking go downstairs and host these kids' birthday, like put on the uniform, dress up, do the face painting, and just have to deal with kids like screaming and crying and pissing themselves and like not fun, right? So I noticed that he double booked, and I could have said like, look, you double booked. If I were you, I would start asking for staff cover, like go and ask people if they would mind working an extra couple of hours or if they could just nip in for like, and I didn't. I just went like, I'm gonna leave that there, and I'm just gonna let it bake like a turd in the oven for like days. And then it got to like the end of the week, and then our sales manager was like, oh look, there's somebody double booked there. And he was like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, yeah, you have. And she goes like, yeah, you have. And he goes, no, I haven't. And I was so like forthright and curt and dismissive myself. Then at the end of that week, I was just like, yeah, you have, because look, it's your name on that one and your name on that one, so it's definitely you. You have double booked it. So, and I was such a cunt about it. And he was like, would you? Because I had done like
I love how mild your thing is.
I know, I know. Like yours is like sort of basically bordering on some sort of verbal assault.
I've actually got a good one to teach people sociopathic impulses. I can actually
go for it.
teach. Right, this is a really good one. Right, so I've worked in fucking so many industries because I just have. One of my old bosses used to get really wound up when we were doing a board meeting because someone had mentioned something, and he'd go, "John's probably done it before," which is probably true. I probably have. Right. Generally, on your first day in any job, you will be told, for anybody listening, you will be told a little amuse-bouche of information that could be potentially dangerous or potentially, stop whatever's happening. And I am going to implore you now to, whatever they tell you, whatever the warning is, you have about 10 minutes from when they've said it to do it immediately. Right, whatever the fuck it is, and you will get away scot-free. I've done it so many times. First day at a petrol station, there was a bank of buttons and there was a key at the top, and the boss said to me, this is this, this is this, this is this. Whatever you do, do not turn that key. Right. He walked away. I turned the key immediately. And he said,
"Don't tell me what I can't do."
Did you turn that key? And I went, "You told me to." And he went, "No, I did." I said, "Don't turn the key." And I went, "Oh, fuck." Right. My favourite one ever was, I was working, I had a really shit job when I was about 17. I was working at a mayonnaise factory, and there was this big industrial trash compactor outside. And you were supposed to load it with cardboard, and we were told how to load it with cardboard. You put like a big broad piece of cardboard at the bottom, and then you put like all the smaller bits on top, blah, 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 blah. And then you pull the strapping through, and then you put another big piece on top, and then you put your hands either side.
Yeah.
And you have to press both buttons at once, and the trash compactor will start.
Yeah.
And then my boss made the fateful mistake. He said, "Don't put a barrel of mayonnaise in there," right? Because we used to make like 10 litres, 20 litres of mayonnaise in like a big catering thing. That's what we made, catering things, mayonnaise. The second he was out of sight, I put a 25-litre tub of mayonnaise in the trash compactor, put a piece of cardboard at the top, piece of cardboard at the bottom, went whack like that. And obviously it's like, fuck knows, 70 ton of pressure. And there was just this massive explosion, and the entire yard was white with mayonnaise. And he ran out and went, "What the fuck happened?" And I went, "I put the mayonnaise in, like you told me to." You literally, and you can do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. As long as it won't kill you. If somebody says don't do that, just fucking do it. It's amazing. It's my favorite thing. And that is being that's sociopathic impulses.
But like
done.
You wouldn't change you, would you? Like these things make for good stories. It's no wonder
I would, though. There are things I like. Until recently, I was doing an ADHD assessment recently, and it caused me a lot more problems than I thought it would. I was filling in an ADHD assessment. This is a bit of seriousness, I suppose. And so this was a proper NHS form, and I was filling it in. And it said, if you had a score over 44, it was very likely you had ADHD. That was the questionnaire. And I scored 72 on this form.
Yeah.
And I found like that. I found it quite funny. Like I was like, oh, that's quite funny.
Smashed it. Yeah.
Smashed it. And my wife got home, and I was going through the assessment and whatever else, and sort of being jovial and joking. And it was like the next day, I realised there's another side to all that stuff, because there has to be a person you're interrupting. There has to be a person that this is in direct conflict with. And so all those, I know it's like I'm pissing around joking and stuff, but I realised that my wife is the person who puts up with the other with the bits as somebody who's neurotypical, puts up with all the rest of all these things, and it is a burden to put up with those things. So
I see it more glass is half full. I feel like, and I'm not pretending.
Everybody does that. That's but the thing is, the outside perspective is not the inside. So what you see, the 10% that everybody sees, is like, John will do this or John will do that and whatever else. But the 90% of it it's quite annoying. So all the way, say through COVID, I got. This doesn't even sound like a pain in the arse. I've got a couple of good examples. All the way through COVID, I was going to work, coming home, and I was sort of obsessed with cooking. And so we had like a restaurant style quality meal every single day.
Mm.
And that doesn't sound annoying, but it really fucking is when your husband is going to spend 2 hours in the kitchen every single night fucking about with something. I hate to go, that sounds all right to me. Well, I might marry John. Well, okay, but I have a better example. My wife is ill, right? Yeah. Say my wife has got the flu, and I say to her, you lay on the sofa and I'll do everything for you. Right? I'll make you a cup of tea, I'll get you a cold drink, I'll make you a sandwich, whatever. If you need anything, just shout. And then I'll ask you if you're all right every 20 minutes.
Yeah. But that's like, isn't that normal? That's not like an ADHD. Is it
not? That's not normal.
Oh, well, I'm fucked then.
Don't ask someone if they're all right every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I take your point. I think it's like, there's an obsessive, repetitive element to it. And I've got shades of that. Like I get super into projects and interests, and like before comedy it was music production. After comedy it's been like the podcast.
But there's with ADHD, the thing you're touching on is hyperfocus. But there's the worst thing about hyperfocus is you don't know it is one until it's run its course, and you. So I've had weird ones. I've had The Goonies for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Some of my films, I had Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 for ages. I've had hyperfocus over watches. I've got 3 watches that, like, between them are worth about 1,500 quid.
It's strange though, isn't it? Like, so my girlfriend doesn't have ADHD. And just to be crystal clear, I've never been assessed and certainly not diagnosed as having it. Although I seem to tick a lot of the fucking boxes. Yeah. It would surprise no one if I came away with a diagnosis for it. Like it would be the shortest assessment the GP or like whoever had ever done. They'd be like, yeah, do we even need to answer the rest of these questions? Yes, here you go. Here's a badge.
Like, honestly, it was the questions were 1 to 4, like what you were going to do. And I admitted to my GP, because he was being a bit of a dick, that I put a couple of 3s in so it didn't look fake.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't true, but I was like, I'll make that a 3.
Yeah.
Otherwise it looks mental.
Yeah. Yeah, but like when you're with somebody that isn't like that isn't, as you said, neurospicy, so like this is going back a few weeks now, like I'll put on the first Jackass movie, and my girlfriend will be like, yeah, this is fun, this is goofy, like, and then we'll get to the end of it, and I'll be like, we should watch Jackass number 2, and then she'll be like, yeah, I mean, we watched Jackass, like, should we try something else, maybe a thriller, or maybe I'll watch Selling Sunset, or some reality thing. And I'm like, no, we have to watch Jackass 1, then Jackass 2, then Jackass 3D, then it's once I'm in something, it's like I have to just see it through devour it until there's nothing more left of it,
I'll just keep doing it. The only thing that put me off Back to the Future is really, really weird. The thing that ended my hyperfocus, this is never going to happen for anybody else. I met Christopher Lloyd, and he is a fuckface.
Really?
That is what did it. That's so weird. I queued up for ages. I met Christopher Lloyd, and he's a total dick.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's define what the parameters of dickery are with
right.
Christopher Lloyd.
So he was the thing quite famous. Everybody's heard of it now, but they hadn't heard of it when I would say this. Comic-Con, though I know everybody likes to kind of go, oh yeah, right, it wasn't a big thing when I went to Comic-Con. It was like 2013. Right? It's only really become big in the last 4 or 5 years. So Comic-Con was on at Earl's Court, and they'd got Corey Feldman was there, the now famous dude from everything all at once, all the time, whatever the fuck it's called, Data from Goonies. He was there.
Yeah.
He was there as well, and there was quite a few people there, and Christopher Lloyd was there for Back to the Future. And the way it works is they'll sign stuff, and you have to pay a certain amount. It was like a tenner or something, and they'll sign something. And I'd got a Back to the Future 1986 thing called a cinema standee from Back to the Future. I bought it. It was vintage 1986, and I took the header off it to take to Comic-Con to get signed by Christopher Lloyd. I paid a tenner, and we started queuing to meet Christopher Lloyd. And I'd got ticket number 67, which that sounds like quite a high number, but it's really not. Yeah. I mean, you can just flick through those. Anyway, Christopher Lloyd would sign about 2-3 things, then go fuck off for a cigarette, and then come back. I stood in that fucking queue for about 3.5 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah.
My wife is going, I'm going to fucking murder you in a minute. And then I just think, what I do for a living, if nobody knows, is that I negotiate bollocks. That's what I really do. My job is to change personalities and emotions immediately. I thought I can use this to my advantage. And there's a security guard there. You're only allowed in the last 10 queue if you showed your ticket what you were in the last, like, so say we were at 30 to 35, or 30 to 40, you could join the actual end queue.
I see. Yeah.
So I folded a £10 note behind my ticket, passed it to the security guard, and I said, that says 31, doesn't it? I've got my eyes a bit funny. He took it, felt the tenner, and he went, yep, that's 31. And then I joined the rest of the queue, right? Because my dad taught me to be as bent as an iron pop note, like, whatever, do what you want, get wherever you want. So I got in the queue and I met Chris, and he was just so offish and such a prick.
What, just like tired and short?
Tired and couldn't be fucked to be there. Didn't want to be there at all.
Yeah.
Just really like miserable as fuck.
Phoning
and I was
it
like, yeah, and I was like, oh, can I take a picture of you signing the thing? And he was like, no, you can't do that. I was like,
really?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, what a prick.
And he just sort of scribbled it on, and then I just kind of took my thing and like a pleb and just wandered off. Yeah. And so many people weren't like that. Jonathan Key, who the guy Data from the Goonies, who has a Western name and he was an American name. He was so friendly, so nice. I didn't meet him, but I could just see him being really lovely. Corey Feldman was being really, really wonderful. There's a few people from Harry Potter were there. I met. Yeah, and everybody was just really nice. Christopher Lloyd was just a massive prick.
Yeah.
I met Rob Englund once at one of those. He's Freddy Krueger, just absolute dick as well.
Really? It's strange, isn't it? Like how it sort of affects the fame and the pressure and all of that affects some people differently. Like I'd like to think, if in the hugely unlikely event that this podcast ever really does truly blow up, that I would maintain a sort of, a fun and excitement, getting to meet people who enjoy what I've done. But it doesn't seem to shake out that way for a lot of people, does it?
No, I've
met people that like you.
I've had a bit of internet fame.
Yeah.
And honestly, do you know what? It was one of my favourite things to not be that guy.
Yeah.
And weirdly, that was strangely fortuitous for me because I was very good friends with an American YouTuber, female YouTuber.
Yeah.
And a fan came over who kind of knew me in passing, and he said to me, hi, I was just, and I went, don't talk like that, come here and sit down. And he went, and I went, but just don't worry about it. Right? This is Ruby.
Yeah.
Ruby, this is Paul. And they get to, Ruby was the sort of famous person we were talking. And about 2 years later, at the same event, that Paul sent me a message and said, are you in London this weekend? And I said, yeah. He said, if you're free after the whole event, maybe is there any chance you could pop into where I work and have a beer? And I was like, I really can't be asked. But I went, maybe, might do. I don't know. Whereabouts are you? Just in case we're in London, just in case we go into town.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm the manager of Groucho's. And I was like, not the Groucho Club. And he went, yeah, no, I'm the manager. And I was like,
fucking hell.
Fuck me. And he went, I'll just put your name on the door. If you got like 5 mates or something, fancy come to the Groucho. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I might do that. Yeah,
get your steak on.
So it turns out you should be quite nice to people because they might be the manager of the Groucho Club.
Yeah.
And I have been twice. Yeah, it's very nice.
I mean, it's like, apart from anything else, it's in your interests to be nice to people.
Because it really makes no difference to your day. Honestly, people are ever so sweet. I've been through the internet fame thing and had done selfies all day from like 10 o'clock to like 5 o'clock and had drinks with people and had great fun. And honestly, I'll talk to anybody. I don't mind. It's all bollocks. You should just be nice.
Yeah,
it's easy enough, isn't it?
Be nice and try not to throw boxes of fried chicken at people.
Out the window.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I'm glad that's much more civil. Yeah.
I even know exactly it was the left window, and I really fucking punted it as well.
If anyone's listening to this who was there that night, where was it? KFC and where?
KFC Cardinal Park in Ipswich.
Yeah, I would love to hear like a witness statement of of exactly what happened. Well, yeah, I mean, we were just queuing, and this fella asked for ketchup.
Fucking mad bastard!
He went insane.
Out a window.
Yeah. John, listen, man, we've been talking for way over an hour, so I'm gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much for coming on again, guys. Go and give John Left of the Countryside a follow on TikTok. Also, check out his podcast, which he co-hosts every week, and they do a new episode about a different topic, a different general, broad topic each time. Really great stuff. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, it's a welcome break from the political stuff for me, and they're both really funny dudes. So yeah, go and check that out, like and subscribe, and all the other stuff that people say at the end of episodes like this. I'll be back next Wednesday with the solo episode, in which I will do my best to rip, roast, rant, and ridicule my way through the week's news. And then next Friday, no fucking idea who my guest is next Friday, but you know what? We'll figure it out. Quick shout out, doff of the cap to the Patreons. Shouts to Rodri, Samantha, Matthew, Bowman, Jeff, Ailsa, and Mark. Then we've got Eddie, Kai, Stuart, Anthony, Pingu, and David, and Alex, Chris, Silent, T-Rex, Sarah, and Kerry. Thank you so much, all of you, for continuing to support the podcast. I'll be back next week. Until next time, keep it booge. We howdy.